DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is schedule your life. Yes, schedule your life. I'll get into what that means and what to do with it in a moment. First of all, remind you of two things: my text message number down below in the description. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. You want to have me as your personal coach and start applying these things you hear me talk about on this show specifically to your life, to your business, with my direct help. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can learn more about what we're doing and how to get started. Getting into this topic, scheduling your life. Now, this one, again, I don't mean metaphorically. Sometimes I do mean things metaphorically. This one is not a metaphor. I do mean this one literally. I'm going to explain to you what I mean when I say this, because there will be some metaphors within the context. This is about taking control of your most valuable resource and make sure that you know where all of that resource is going or where it is not going, and keeping control over that process at all times. That's what this is about. I don't really need to give too much more context here. Everybody knows what life is, right? And all of you know what a schedule is, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you how to schedule your life. Let's just get right into it so I don't have to spend too much more time on the intro. Point number one, topic once again here today is schedule your life. Number one, let's start with the most basic thing. The most basic thing when it comes to a schedule period is known as the calendar. Everyone listening to this is familiar with a calendar, right? All of you know what it is. Even if you don't have one, you know what it is, right? Any of you who works in any type of organization where you deal with multiple people or multiple other organizations, there's usually some form of scheduling or some form of calendaring that goes on when it comes to engagements. So I know I have a lot of athletes listen to the show and people who work in the athletic world, whether as a coach or a player. Well, you have a schedule, right? If you play on the volleyball team, there's a schedule as to when the next game is. There's a schedule as to when practice is. You know what time it is. You know where it's taking place. You know everything needs to happen before the game. If you're traveling to the game, the other team's coming to your place to play in the game. There's a whole schedule behind that, and you put all of that on what? The calendar. Right? Everyone understands this, right? Even those of you who are in business and you meet with prospects and clients, when you decide to meet with the prospect next Wednesday, what do? You put that on your calendar in some way, shape, or form so you remember. If today's Friday, you remember on Wednesday, hey, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock with Jim from company XYZ. So every one of you knows what a calendar is. Some of you have one on your wall. Maybe you have an app that is on your phone. Some of you use a day planner or a book calendar, something that you keep in your pocket. Whatever it is, you need to be using something, anything, that keeps your life on schedule so that you know where your time is going and you're able to look back and find out where your time has been. If you want to know what you're committed to, all you have to do is look at your calendar and look at your checkbook, find out where your money is going and where your time's going. Time is more valuable than money, but most people tend to value money more than time. So, okay, let's look at where you're spending your money. Then let's look at where you're spending your time. Those will tell you what your priorities are. And if you don't have track of where your money is going or where your time is going, then it should make sense to you why you tend to not have as much of it as you want to have. Does that make sense? Of course it makes sense. Okay, so you need to know where your time is going and you need to know where it's been. That's why you need to schedule and plan everything out so you can look back and find out where things have been. So the most effective and efficient people when it comes to time are people who take the most detailed account of where their time is going. And if you schedule out your days, then you can look at your days and you know exactly what happened with your time on those days. It's the same thing when it comes to other resources like money, like we just mentioned, your energy, your attention, and again, how you're using these resources. Again, you tend to be most effective at how you use the resource when you are tracking where the resource is going and how it's being used. This sounds very simple when it's broken down in this way. And the reason it sounds so simple is because, well, first of all, it's my superpower to break things down and make them sound simple. But also because most of us tend to overlook the simple things because we're looking for the complicated thing that seem to be like these golden nuggets that are going to save us, or golden bullets, magic bullets that are going to save us from our challenges, when it's actually the simple stuff that will solve most of our problems if we would just buckle down and do the simple things that we know we're supposed to be doing. So this first point is a really simple one that some of you just need to develop the discipline to do. Good news is you can start doing it right now while you're listening to me. You can pull something out of your desk drawer or you can get an app on your phone. You can do it right now for free. Start using a calendar and or a day planner to plan out your days or to simply block out your time for things that you already know are taking your time, such as your 9 to 5 job. If you work a 9 to 5 job, you know you need to leave the house at 8 o'clock. You know that when you get home, it's probably going to be about 6 o'clock. That you should block off on your calendar from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday so that you know where that time is going. And if there are other things that you need to get done over the course of your day, then you know that the only other time you have is the space in between when you wake up, between waking up and going to work, and between getting home from work and going to sleep. That's the only it's called discretionary time that you can do whatever you want with. What are you doing with that time? If you don't schedule it, it'll probably get used in an inefficient way. And those of you who are entrepreneurs, you better be scheduling out your day. You should be scheduling out everything you're doing in business every day anyway, because no one is in control of your time but you. So when you start scheduling these things out, again, blocking off time of things you know you're going to get done. Many of you, if you work a 9 to 5 job, there are little things that you get done over the course of a day that may not be job related, but you can do them while you're at work. Like maybe there's a couple text messages you need to respond to, or emails you need to check on and reply to, or phone calls you need to make. Maybe you can do those on your lunch break or on a 15-minute break or sometime in between work stuff when you're at work. You can put those also in your calendar as maybe little tasks that need to get taken care of. Maybe they don't get scheduled, but they're tasks that need to be knocked down. You can put those in your schedule so that you know you need to do them, even though they don't have a specific time, so that every day when you look at your calendar or your day planner, you can see, okay, here are 6 things I know I need to do. They each take 2 minutes. Let me make sure I do all 6 of these things so I don't forget. If you have them written down, there's a better chance you get to them than if you try to remember them in your long-term memory. Moving on to point number 2. The topic again today is scheduling your life. Point number 2. Going into let's go more big picture. So I gave you a micro picture by telling you to schedule out your day, but schedule out and plan what you want your entire life to look like. The big picture of your life, not just today and tomorrow, but the big picture of your life. What I mean by this is doing something as simple as setting your goals for the current month, setting your goals for the current year. You can go even further by setting goals for your next 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. And you should do all of these things. I'm saying you can. I'm suggesting that you do. Just because you set goals does not mean that things will necessarily be reached. We understand this. The point of setting the goal is to give your mind a clear target to focus on so you are not acting haphazardly and acting in random as most people do. Most people's behavior is extremely random. They just do whatever they feel like doing in the moment or what they think about or what they remember to do in the moment. This is the reason why it can be very easy to steal someone's attention and get them to pay attention to whatever you want them to pay attention to, because most people have no plan and no discipline or structure for how they're using your time. So if you can show them a shiny object that will distract them from whatever they were doing or what they could have been doing, they will easily allow the distractions to take their time away. This is the reason why social media is as successful as it is, because most people have no structure to their day. So they end up giving away a lot of their time to social media without even realizing that it's happening, because they don't have any structure or standard or parameters keeping them doing anything else. So they go to the lowest hanging fruit, which is social media, which provides you plenty of dopamine hits. In other words, it's kind of like being a drug addict. You get those hits of the drug over and over again, and it feels better than doing anything else. And you don't have anything else planned, even though there are other things you need to get done. Since you didn't have them planned, there's a difference between having to get something done and having it as a plan or as a schedule or as a mandate or as a appointment. And then we end up giving up 3 hours of the day to social media. Then you get to the end of the day, you say, I didn't get anything done today. Well, of course you didn't. Social media got something done. What they did was extract time from you, monetize it, sell it to advertisers. They make money. The advertisers make money. You made nothing, and all you did was give up your most valuable resource. It happens every single day on social media. It happens every single day through social media. I'm not even blaming social media for this. I blame you for this. You're the one who didn't have a structure or parameters or a plan to keep social media from stealing your time from you. So all they did was they just took what you left available for them. If you have a plate of food and you put it down on the floor, and you have a dog at home, and you go to the bathroom while leaving the plate of food on the floor, and the dog comes along and eats all the food off your plate, you can't be mad at the dog for eating the food. You left the food on the floor. What do you expect the dog to do? That's what the dog does. All right, same thing with social media. It does what it does, which is take your time if you allow it to be taken. And if you don't have anything that is more important for your time to go towards other than social media, then social media will come in and just take it because you left it open. Again, what do you expect? This is how many people end up losing a lot of energy and losing a lot of time, or using a lot of energy and time, but they don't get much done because there's no clarity, there's no direction. In other words, there are no parameters. There are no clearly laid out schedules for what needs to get done. Therefore, again, nothing gets done. Remember, folks, shit happens by itself. Success does not happen by itself. If you want to be successful in life, you must be conscious and intentional about being successful. If you want random things to happen, you don't have to do anything. Random things will just happen on their own. Episode 2753. Shit happens, success does not. You want to be successful, you need goals that provide you a clear direction for how you're going to get towards the goal, and at least keeps you on track and focused for what you're supposed to be doing and what should be happening next, as opposed to playing the random game or the guessing game of maybe I'll do something productive today, but I don't really know, because you haven't set a plan to be productive. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is schedule your life. Number 3, hold yourself to account. All right, what does an accountant do? An accountant's job is to have a clear account of where certain resources are going. Usually when we say an accountant, what we're talking about is someone who has an account of where all the money's going, right? You need to hold yourself accountable to where your resources are going. That, including your money, you have your time, your attention, your energy, and your focus. You must hold yourself to account to where you are using these things. I just gave you one example of where it's getting stolen from you with social media. I'm not saying don't use social media, but don't let social media take more time than it's supposed to be given over the course of a day. You give your time to social media. Don't let it take it from you. It will take it if you don't have plans of doing anything better with your time, because social media is a very enticing place to invest time if you have nothing better to do. That's why you got to have better things to do, which is why the things you need to do need to be on your calendar, so that you know what your better things are, so you don't have to guess and think about it. Both your short-term and long-term scheduling act as a form of accountability to tell you where you should be, what you should be doing, and how your attention and energy should be being spent, because your time has already been planned for and accounted for ahead of time. I'm going to say that one again. Your short-term and long-term scheduling act as a form of accountability that tell you where you need to be, what you need to be doing, how your attention and energy should be being spent. It tells you all of those things, because the time has already been planned out and accounted for ahead of time. Which means if someone comes to you and says, hey, you want to do such and such, let's say somebody reaches out to you at 8:30 in the morning, and they say, hey, do you want to do such and such at 1:15? All you got to do is say, wait a minute, let me check my calendar. You say, well, nope, sorry, bro, I can't do it. I got an appointment from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Maybe some other time, or you can tell them, hey, here's the next opening I have on my calendar. It's 3 days from now at 4 p.m. What about that? Now, see, if you have your life planned out and you have your life scheduled out, then you'll be able to do that, as opposed to some random occurrence taking time from you over the course of a day, and maybe even something that you don't even want to be doing. This is why you plan things ahead of time. If you have read or listened to anyone who talks about the subject of finance, one thing you will notice that they all seem to agree on is that if you do something like automating how your finances are distributed, you'll have a better chance of making sound long-term decisions than if you make random decisions about what to do with your money every time a dollar crosses your palm. In other words, if you want to save a certain amount of money and put it in a savings account, it's easier to save that amount if you actually automate the money going into your savings account. Let's say every week, take this much money and put it into my savings account. You set a system up in your banking systems to do it for you, as opposed to you having to tell yourself to manually go do it. It's easier if it gets automated. Because when you automate a thing, you don't have to remember to do it. When you have to remember to do something, you are bringing in the variable of your memory actually working when you need it to work. And you might forget simply because there are other things on your mind that are going on that interrupt the process. But if you just automate this certain thing, I'm going to put $10 over here every week, and it's going to automatically happen. Now, I don't even have to remember to do it. You have a better chance of accumulating a streak of $10 every week than if you had to manually memorize and remember to move $10 every week. Which one do you think has a better chance of happening every week over the course of a year? An automated $10 a week or a manual $10 a week? Of course, you know the answer is the automated one. Why? Because you are removing human error and human memory from the equation, which makes it much more likely to occur. And what a schedule does is it takes all the things that you know need to get done, and it gives a specific date and time for it to get done. Therefore, when that date and time comes, you know exactly what you need to be doing. The schedule becomes your boss, tells you what to do. Remember, every organization, ladies and gentlemen, must have a boss. Every organization must have a boss. I talked about this in episode number 2304. And Yes, episode 2304. Every organization must have a boss. The boss for you, each one of you, your organization being your life, is your calendar is your boss, because your calendar tells you where your time is going, and your time is the most valuable resource you have. So whatever's telling you what to do with your time is your boss. Does everybody follow what I'm saying here? So if you are doing something like making investments, again, decide how much you want to decide how much through an automated system is going to happen without human involvement. So if it's $10 a week, if it's $100 a week, if it's $1,000 a day, whatever it is, or if there is a bill that needs to be paid, you can automate your bills being paid. Many companies will do stuff like, I was on the T-Mobile application the other day, and they say if you enroll in AutoPay, and that just means we can automatically charge your card on the billing date every month for the amount of the bill, then we'll take $5 off your bill. If you don't enroll in AutoPay, then your bill will be $5 higher. And if you do that, you have a better chance of paying the bills on time than if you don't do it. I mean, simple as that. So you don't have to remember to go pay the bill every month. It's the same thing with everything else, including your time. If you already know where a certain amount of time must go every day, I already gave you this example. You work at a 9-to-5 job, on your calendar, you should have it blocked off from 9 to 5. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. Or if you have to leave the house at 8 and you get home at 6, then from 8 to 6, this is what I'm doing. Or maybe 8 to 6, 8 to 9 is commute time. You can do something there, like listen to the Work on Your Game masterclass. And from 5 to 6, you can do something else, like listen to another episode of the Work on Your Game masterclass. Whereas from 9 to 5, you're actually working, hopefully, maybe. All right, or at least you're getting paid. Let's just say that. If you already know where a certain amount of time must go, you don't have to sit down and decide what to do with that time because it has already been accounted for ahead of time. Remember how I tell you how professionals always do their homework. They are always prepared ahead of time. So what saves you time in decision making also allows you to prepare ahead of time for how you're going to use that time. This is what accountability looks like, ladies and gentlemen. It means planning ahead. That's what it means to be accountable. You are planning ahead and you're able to look back and know exactly what happened or exactly what's going to happen. Let's recap today's class, which is schedule your life. This is not a metaphor. I mean this one literally. Number one, start with the most basic thing, the calendar. Calendar tells you where your day is going. Days add up to weeks, weeks to months, months to years, years to a lifetime. You need to be scheduling out your life so you know exactly where things are going. Number two, going into a bigger picture, scheduling out and planning the future of your life. So your next month, your next 5, 10, 20 years. I'm not saying you got to schedule every day for these. What I'm saying is plan out goals and things you want to achieve in these timelines so that you can look at your yearly goals and make a decision on what I need to get done this month to get closer to hitting that goal this year. And number three, hold yourself to account. When you are writing down, tracking, and keeping strict accounts of everything that you are doing, you have a better idea why things are happening, where things are going, and what changes may need to occur. People who are best at the things that they do tend to track what they do. Find anyone who's really good at something. They tend to have a track. They have a record, an account of what they're doing, how they're doing it, when and where they're doing it. And that's one of the reasons why they're really good at doing it, regardless of their actual God-given talent or skill level. And it is often helped by the fact that they're holding themselves to account in some way, shape, or form. Good news, you can do the exact same thing. All that said, everybody, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to learn how to apply and implement these kind of things in your life directly for your personal life and your business life, or maybe both together, or either one individually, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Have me as your direct coach, and let's take it to the next step starting now. Work on your game. Dre, all